Today on Outside the Box Reviews, it's time to get back to the chopper. Once again, we have a bunch of Predator figures to review. I kind of kicked off this installment of Predator Week with the review of the 2-pack from Toys R Us that came out over Christmas. That review was done earlier, so I didn't really have all my Predator Week spiel in there. But yeah, that was the official kickoff to a whole new batch of figures. And today we are looking at the NECA Predator 2. This is Series 5 of all the Predator waves combined, and this is Stalker Predator. Stalker Predator? First of all, that sounds just like defining characterizations that you'd have with, somebody who does bad things to children. The fan name for this Predator is Brother Boar. It's even listed on the NECA packaging. For whatever reason, they decided they wanted to be called Stalker Predator, but to me, this is Brother Boar. As with most Predator 2 Predators, Brother Boar here comes with his disc, his throwing disc. It's an interesting paint job. It's kind of a goldish metallic, but it looks a little strange at the other hand. I don't really know what color to call that. Kind of brass-ish, I guess. It's basically the same disc mold we've gotten a billion times. It doesn't fit into his holster very well, just like all of the other ones, but still a nice little accessory. Once again, this figure is incapable of actually holding his disc in his hand, at least in a normal pose, which is once again disappointing. We also get a throwback to the Toys R Us 2-pack with the retracted Predator spear. Once again, done with great detail. You have the spearheads on here, the wrap part in the middle, all the different little electronic pieces around it. You have the writing and the little keyboard up there, which I guess is where they press to make it all pop out and be a real weapon. I would have liked to have an actual spear or something more weapon-based, but it is accurate to the movie that a few of the Predators at the end had these, and I don't remember if Brother Boar did specifically, but it works out as an accessory. Stalker Predator himself is using the standard Predator 2 body that we've kind of gotten used to now. This is the same as the last wave of figures, but it's put to good use. The body style reminds me a lot of the Shaman Predator, where it doesn't have a whole lot of armor on. He has a lot of just exposed skin and netting. The color scheme on him's okay. It's an orangey, dusty, brownish. It works fairly well. It's a little bad down here where you could see the lighter skin tone through the peg holes here, which is a little annoying. It stands out a little too much. But it's done fairly well with the colorization. I do like how there's different gradients and things to it. Turn him around, he's got a nice tiger stripe down his back. Actually really cool looking on the back there. His dreads are pretty basic, just the gold little doodads on the dreads. Nothing too excitable on there. As I mentioned before, his armor is pretty lacking. He's got his shoulder pad up here. His one wrist has something very similar to what Shaman had with the kind of leather wrap. He's got his big open hand here with the little glove on there. This side he has another shoulder pad and then some different kind of wrapping. There's some bones in there which are cool looking. So it's a little different of a look. This hand is closed to hold the spear. Down here we have his kind of loincloth area. You can see it's a pretty standard design they've used for the P2 figures, where it's designed to look like it goes into the holster on the leg as well. He has his extra armor plating on a string around his waist that hangs down. Also has a piece on the back here. He has his man purse. It's kind of an interesting touch to the Predator. He has a little man purse here, or a Predator purse, I guess. Not a huge fan of that accessory. Once again, it is accurate to the movie, but not only is it really floppy, but you can actually take it off the Predator without having to remove his head or anything. I just have a feeling if you're moving this guy around, it may actually fall off and get lost. Around his neck, he has a necklace, has two little chicken bones coming off of it. Mine are warped. I had a choice out of one of three of these figures in the store, and I picked this one knowing these bones were warped, just because the paint job was overall nicer on it. But on his necklace, he actually has a representation of what I believe is his own mask, which is kind of interesting. Speaking of the mask, it's a really nicely painted helmet. Very dark in color. It's got kind of the almost teeth-looking pieces in here, which are really cool. There's a nice skeletal look almost to it. I really like how they did it. I really like the paint on it as well. If we bring in the Boar Predator, we could see it's pretty much the same mask. Honestly, from the front, these looked very similar, and I turned them to the side to show how they were basically the same with the small difference that I noticed. But now looking at the profile, they are completely different sculpts. Stalker's is much more angular and has pieces sticking out all different directions. The area where the so-called teeth are, kind of back in there, is a little deeper of a recess. There's less of a pointy snout on it. I'm actually impressed with that. I thought we just got a redone head, but we have a fresh new biomask sculpt. Kudos to NECA on that one. I think they probably could have thrown this one at us again, and I probably wouldn't have questioned it, but really cool that we got a separate head sculpt. For articulation, we have a ball-jointed neck. Great range of motion up there. Pin and socket shoulders. You can bend and swivel at the elbow. Ball-jointed wrist. Ball-jointed waist. Pin and socket legs with a great range of motion, forward and back out to the side. Back, once again, not hindered because of the rubber butt on these figures. I still love pointing that out. It's swivel at the upper leg. Bend the knee at 2 points. And he has a ball-jointed foot. Well, I guess the first thing I have to say is, after spending the last several months primarily in the land of Marvel reviews, specifically for Avengers, and reviewing all the Avengers figures recently, it's so nice to pick up a figure with some nice articulation to it. It's one of those things you never quite realize how much you'd miss it until you go from one end to the other on that spectrum. But I think Stalker Predator, or Brother Boar as I've been calling him for about half this review, is a really cool figure. I'm pretty damn impressed with him. He's a basic Predator. And I think I've had this discussion with several of my other reviews, and how you almost have to categorize these Predators. There's the ones you have to have. There's the movie hero ones, you know, the city hunter, the jungle hunter. Those are the big Predators for those movies. And specifically when we get into this line of the Lost Tribe, it really is a pick and choose kind of thing, I would think, for most people. I'm just obsessed and have to have them all. Stalker is a background Predator. For sure, 100%, no doubt about it. He is a background piece for your collection. Same with the original Boar. He was a background piece too, but I still recommended him and I still love that figure. And I love this figure too. It's just not as much love as I have for other figures. So if you're not a completist, you could definitely pass on this guy. But I still have to recommend him just because I think he's a damn cool figure. The paint on him is really well done. The articulation's as good as always, and I have to say it in this one, once again, joints moved, no problem whatsoever. None of those old problems with that last body. In fact, I am actually almost a little concerned because the joints on this one are mildly looser than they have been in the past. I'm almost wondering if the sculpt is being used a little too much and they might need to vary it up in the mold because it's weakening a bit. But until we see problems with that, I'm not going to be too concerned about it. I think he's a worthwhile addition to your collection. If you only have enough money for one or two of them, he might not be the one you want to pick up. But if you could buy the wave, I'd pick him up for sure. I did. I don't regret it. This has been another Outside the Box review. Stay tuned as we continue on with Predator Week.